Welcome. This is SPSS, PSY 3840. I'm Professor Coolidge. Let's go to our assignments. We are up now to Unit 10. This ANOVA is considered an omnibus test. So we know if we've run it on 3 groups means, we know that one mean's different from one other. But since it's omnibus, it tests all the possibilities, and the ANOVA will be significant if at least one mean's different from any other mean. But we don't know the pattern of differences. And that's why we have this Unit 10. The multiple comparison tests are performed only after a significant analysis of variance. Analysis of variance significant means more than one mean's different from one other mean. A multiple comparison test will show us which mean. And in this multiple comparison test lecture, we note that this ANOVA is an omnibus test, and we have to see the pattern of differences. We're going to use, again, the schizoid Asperger's controls data. And here's our data set. And I say here that what we got to do is we're going to see a difference and check for a difference in mean total autistic symptom scores for 3 different groups. We're going to complete this one-factor ANOVA, and then we're going to do the post-hoc analysis on traits between the groups. So let us get started. We'll go down here to our data, and let's double check on case number 47. This data, that 30 score isn't there, so we don't need to eliminate case number 47 again, because this is a legitimate SAS tote score. If you remember, we went to analyze, and we went to compare means, and we went down here to one-way ANOVA. And let's knock these things back over so we can practice. So we said, okay, what are we going to measure? We're going to measure autistic symptoms. So that's our dependent list, dependent variable. What was our independent variable? The 3 levels of the group ID. And notice it takes that. It knows that the values are 1, 2, and 3, so we don't need to do anything. So we'll come over here to post-hoc. And remember I said multiple comparison test or post-hoc test. And we'll look at post-hoc. And probably the most common test now, which is a nice balance between liberalism and conservatism on finding mean differences, is this test right here, Tukey's test. This was an earlier test and a very liberal test, meaning it found mean differences when maybe some of them might have been due to chance. John Tukey figured out a more conservative test that really looks they have to be truly different from each other beyond chance. So we'll just choose Tukey's test. And we'll hit continue, and we'll hit OK. So we saw this before, the significant ANOVA. We saw here's the 3 means different for all 3 groups. But now we're going to find out when we look at this multiple comparison, is this mean significantly greater than this mean? And is this mean in turn significantly greater than the control mean? So we go down here to multiple comparisons test. I'm a fan of this comparison right here, so we'll come back to that. I like the sets. And what this says is, if these means are different from each other, they'll be in different columns. So indeed, what we find out is that the Asperger's group has a significantly greater mean than the schizoid mean, because they're in 2 different columns. And in turn, the schizoid mean is significantly different than the control. Of course, the control's down here. That's in a different column than this one, so it goes without saying that the Asperger's group, if it's significantly greater than this, and this is significantly in turn greater than this, that this value is going to be significantly greater than this. So this is actually critically important to the SAS Autistic Symptoms Survey total, is that the Autistic Symptoms Survey, these kids have a lot of the symptoms of autism, and their mean on that 45-item scale of 116 is significantly greater than loner kids. Now, why would loner kids have any autistic symptoms? Probably because in this study, and that was real data that was presented, in this study the parents were not asked to identify their kids as schizoid. What they were asked is your child a loner? Now, some of these loner kids, indeed, then may later be diagnosed as Asperger's. Their SAS total scores may be in the range of, for some kids in the schizoid group, they're just undiagnosed Asperger's. But right now, if we take the parents at face value and they said my kid's just a loner, never been diagnosed Asperger's, we can see that the autistic symptom survey significantly differentiates between all three groups of kids. If we go back up here to this output that I'm not fond of, we can see that what this is doing is it's saying, is the controlled group different than Asperger's? And here's the significance level. Yes. As long as this is less than 0.05, they're significantly different. Is the control group different than the schizoid group? Yes, there's a significant difference. Is the Asperger's significantly different control? Yes. Is the Asperger's significantly different than schizoid? Yes. Is the schizoid... So this repeats, but I think this is a lot faster. You can see how quickly you can identify the three group mean differences. Okay, let's go back to analyze. We'll go in back to compare means. We'll go to one factor ANOVA. And let's change the dependent variable now. Let's go to schizoid personality disorder as our dependent variable. All these schizoid symptoms, mostly associated with children who want to be alone. If we go back to post hoc, you'll see it kept what we previously chose is Tukey's test right here. And we'll hit continue. And now we'll hit OK. And so what we get is the F value significant, the mean difference between the three groups? Yes, there's a significant difference between the three means. And we can see that the significance level is less than 0.000. These two means look awfully similar, which we found in a t-test actually. They weren't significantly different, but both of them at least look significantly greater than control. So remember, we'll go down to post hoc tests, and let's go down to that output I like, and sure enough, these are in the same column. So it means the mean for the schizoid children is not significantly different than the mean for the Asperger's children. Even though this means larger, slightly larger, there's a non-significant difference right there. But both are significantly greater than, because they're in a different column, than the control group right here. Now we could see this up here again. Controlled versus Asperger's. Control significantly lower. Control significantly than schizoid. But let's compare Asperger's versus schizoid. And you see this is not less than 0.05. So that means this difference is not significant. And we'd get the same thing here. This comparison, Asperger's mean versus schizoid, is the same as schizoid mean versus Asperger's, and identical significance levels. They are not significantly different. And that's our lesson for today.